So in the previous video we started to build our Scriver application page by adding the banner area here and the slider image gallery. What we're going to do in this video is continue building the content that we can find on the live website, and we'll start by adding this 3-column feature list. So to do that, let's go to RapidWeaver, and I've got our foundation project open here, and I'm on the Scriver page, and what I'm going to do to save a little bit of space here is just hide or close up the orbit slider stack. So select that and click the hide button, and then below the orbit slider stack I'm going to add a 3-column foundation stack, and just drag the orbit slider above there. And then what we're going to do is add those icons, headers and text into each one of these columns. And to do that, if we go to the live site, you'll see essentially we have a 2-column layout inside of each column here. So what we want to do inside of the left column is drag a 2-column foundation stack, and then on the left hand side we'll have the image, and on the right we'll have the text. So as I say, we want an image on the left hand side, so we'll scroll down and add that image stack from foundation. And then what we want is a header on the right with a paragraph of text. So we'll add those stacks as well. I'm going to automatically reduce the size of this placeholder paragraph text so we can see what's in there. And I'm just going to change the header to say feature header, like so. And then I'm going to adjust the header tag. Now as you can see, things are getting a little bit cramped, so I'm going to be toggling the stacks library open and close simply by pressing the L key on the keyboard. And then we're going to change the size of the header. We're going to use an H5, and we'll leave it left aligned. And the paragraph text here we can leave completely as the default. However, the image, obviously we need to add the image for the mobile by default. As I've mentioned previously, we're only supplying a mobile image during these videos. However, you will want to crop down and adjust the sizing for each device that you want to serve this image on. So for us, we'll just browse for the mobile image, and if I go to the desktop and the assets folder, you'll see I have a list of icons here. So I'll add the browser as the first one, and then instantly I know what I want to do is adjust the sizing of this icon. So I want to define a maximum width, and in this case it's 32 pixels for every device. And there we can see that the icon becomes the right size there. Okay, so let's go and preview how this looks inside of the browser. So we'll go back to Safari and our local site, and we'll scroll down, and there we can see we have the icon on the left and the header and the text on the right hand side. What we need to do though is adjust how this is aligning. So right now the left column takes up 50% and the right column takes up 50% of that 2-column layout. What we want to do is adjust it so the left column takes up less space and the right gets more, because obviously we've got more content in there. So to do that, we'll go back to RapidWeaver, select the 2-column layout and scroll down. And what we want to do is ensure that we are defining the tablet sizing. So this is where the responsive parts of foundation start to come in, because we can adjust how this content is laid out on each individual device. So if you see here on the mobile sizing setup, the first column will get 12 and the second column will also get 12 when you're on a mobile device. So that essentially means that the content will be stacked on top of each other. Now if you're wondering why this is 12, it is because the foundation grid system is based upon having 12 columns. So whenever you adjust this, all of the column widths should add up to 12. So if you had 3 columns, like in this example, each one of these columns on the tablet and up are 4. So we obviously get 4, 8 and 12. We could adjust that and have the first column to be 6, and then the other 2 would need to be 3 each. However, let's go back to the 2-column layout and adjust the sizing here for the tablet. So what we want is the first column to take up 3, and then we want the second column to take up 9. So again, you'll see that that adds up to 12, so that we get 100% of the width. If we wanted to define the desktop sizing as well, you can do that here. So you can adjust it on all of the mobile, tablet and desktop devices. However, if you don't define a desktop size, what will happen is it will inherit the tablet sizing. And again, if you don't define the tablet sizing, that will inherit the mobile sizing. Okay, so let's go back to Safari and see how that looks. And there we can see that the left hand column with the icon in has got smaller and the right hand with the text has got larger. Okay, let's go and copy that 2-column layout into the remaining other 2 columns here. And then we can go back and preview. And there we can see that we have our layout in 3 columns, and inside of each one of those we have that 2-column layout. Now, just to explain the responsive columns a little bit further, what I'm going to do is open up Safari's responsive design mode. To do that, you need to go to the develop menu. If you don't have this develop menu, you can go to the Safari preferences and then the advanced tab, and you need to show develop menu in the menu bar. Then you'll have access to this, and what you can do is enter the responsive design mode. That will give you this little preview of different devices. And instantly you can see here on an iPhone, the icon has gone above the header text. So what that means is that the icon column is taking up 12, and also the text column is taking up 12. So instantly you can see here that the icon and the text are stacking above each other. They're both taking up 100% of the width, or 12 columns. And then when we get bigger, say if we go to an iPad Air, you'll see that they're then aligned to the left and right with the tablet sizing that we defined. So as you get smaller and you get down to what is a mobile device, you'll see that the content snaps into position. Okay, so that is how you define different column layouts for your content based on the different device widths. Anyway, let's go and exit the responsive design mode. We might touch on that again later in this course, but for now what we want to do is add our remaining features and change these icons. So what I'm going to do is just quickly change these icons in the first row here. So I'll remove that one and go and browse for a second icon, and the same for the third icon here, like so. We'll go back and just check that's working, and yet we can see those icons have been updated. Okay, so what I'm going to do is pause the video now and quickly add those remaining 6 features. Okay, so here you can see on our local site we've got those 6 features with all of the different icons applied. So if I go back to RapidWeaver, you'll see all I've done is copy these 2-column layouts in below each column here, so that we have 9 features in total. Now if we go to Safari, I think the only thing I actually want to do is add a little bit of space below each one of these 2-column layouts. So to do that, what we can do is select a 2-column layout here, and on the column padding we could add 2.5 rems like so, and I think that will give us a little bit better spacing. Yeah. So again, what I'm going to do is quickly pause the video and add that padding to the rest of these columns. Okay, so I've added the padding, and if we update the preview, you'll see that that's been updated there. Okay, good. So the next thing we want to do is go to our live website, and we need to add this full width banner with the call to action button here. So to do that, again, go back to RapidWeaver, and to save some space, I'm going to go up to the 1-column foundation wrapper here and hide that so we can see what we're working on. We'll open up the stacks library, and we need to add a 1-column foundation stack in below there. Okay, and this is essentially a banner, so we're going to build it in the same way that we build the header banner at the top of the page. So what we want to do is set a background image, and we're going to browse for that image, and I'm going to choose this one here. No, I'm not. I'm going to choose the feature BG, like so, and we want no tiling, and we want it to fill the entire width and height of the stack there. And then inside of there we need to add another 1-column foundation for the overlay color. So what we want to do is set the background type to be color, and we want a black at around 65%, I think, like so. And then we need to remember that we need to set the gutter to be off, we need to set the max width to be full width, and we need to do the same for the background image there. So again, set the gutter to never and the max width to full width. Then inside of there we want a header, so we'll scroll down, add a header and some paragraph text. and a button, like so. And what we want to do, as we've done previously, is first of all align this to the center and then set the style to alternate, and that will make the text white. And we'll do the same with the paragraph, like so. I'm going to remove the amount of text in here, so let's say something like this. And what I'm going to do is use some custom sizing. So I'm going to check the option there, and I'm going to make this 1.5 rems and leave the line height as it is. I'm also actually going to remove a little bit more of that text, that was quite a lot, like so. And then I'll get the button, and what we want to do is align that, what we want to do is align that to the center. Whoops. So we'll align that to the center there. So I'm not sure what happened there, but we needed to reselect the stack, but we want to align that to the center there. We want the rounded corners. And the style we want is a very bright yellow call to action button. So currently on these styles here we have secondary, which gives us this kind of grey whitish button. Then we have a success, which is the green color, and the alert color, which is red. However, what we don't have is that yellow color set up. So what we could do is set up a swatch inside of the site style stack to allow us to have this yellow button with white text. So currently you'll see the first swatch gives us this black background with white text. What we can do is go into the global header, and we can select the site style stack, and here you'll see the first swatch color is black and white essentially, and they're the same for all of the swatches at the moment because we haven't updated them. So what we can do is scroll down, and you will see these swatch colors here. What I'm going to do is call this one yellow, and what I'm going to do is set the color 1 to be this yellow goldish color, and we'll leave the other color, or the color 2, to be completely white, like so. So now when we go back to our page, you'll see that button updates and it uses that swatch styling that we've just applied. So the swatch 1 gives us the yellow background with the white text. So that is how you can adjust the swatch styles and use them throughout your project. Finally, we'll update the text here to say purchase something today. And we won't set a link obviously because this isn't going anywhere, but you would set a URL or another page on your site. Okay, finally what we want to do is set the header. I think we want this to be an H2, make that a little bit larger, and we'll just put something like an exciting thing here. Okay, so let's go back to Safari and preview how that looks. So we'll scroll down, and there you can see we have that full width banner. The issues we've got is we need a little bit of padding on the top and bottom, and we'll want to constrain this paragraph text to be perhaps within inside the width of the content or a percentage width of this banner. So let's go and have a look at how we can do that. So first of all, we can add padding to the top and bottom by selecting the inner one column foundation stack, and we'll want to go down and add some padding. So here we could add perhaps 2.5 rems, so that is the equivalent to 40 pixels, like so. And we'll go back and preview that. And there we can see the content gets a bit more space. And then finally what we want to do for here is do that paragraph text width. So the easiest way to do that, I'm going to say, is choose the fill mode inside of the layout settings to be a flexible size. And we'll set this to 65% for example. You can have a play around with this and see what works for your site, but I think that's about okay. And what that does is mean that no matter which device you're viewing your site on, this paragraph text will always be 65% of the screen width. So that might not work for your design, but in this case it works quite nicely. And if I enter the responsive design mode, you'll see that even on the tablet, for example, that's quite nicely aligned. And if I go even further down, you'll see it works quite well on a mobile device as well. So we'll leave it at 65% width, exit the responsive design mode, and we can just add a little bit of margin to the bottom of the feature list here, and then we'll move on to the next section. So on here, what I'll do is just put margin on the bottom to be 40 pixels. Go and double check that. And yep, now we can move on to the next thing on the website. So we'll go to the live site. And you'll see here actually on the live site the banner's a little bit bigger than what we have. So we might want to add or increase the padding inside of that banner. So we could do that actually. So we'll go and set the detailed padding here, or the responsive padding, to be 5 rems on the top and the bottom. And I think if I go to the live site, the overlay is slightly darker perhaps, or it could be the same, but we'll leave it at 65%. You can have a play around with that if you're following along. Okay, so next we've got this amazing new products, some text, and then if you notice we had this 3-column layout with products in there that faded in as we scrolled down. So we'll look at how we do that now. Okay, so let's go back to Rapid Weaver, and what we want to do is, as always, select the wrapping stack from the previous piece of content and hide that. And then we're going to add another 1-column foundation layout, essentially as a wrapper for the content that we're going to be adding. Inside of there we want a header at the top and then a paragraph of text. And then instantly again, I want this to be an H2 and I want to center align it, and the same for the paragraph. Okay, I'm going to reduce the amount of text in here again. I don't know, something like this maybe. And I'm going to increase the sizing. So again, I'm going to set this to 1.5 rems. And again, I might need to just remove that down a little bit. Okay, that's looking better. So we'll update the header text first. We are saying here, amazing new products. We'll leave the dummy text as it is, but then next what we had was that 3-column layout. So again, we'll add a 3-column foundation stack into here. And then what we have is some content inside of there, and if you notice there's a slight border around all of this content. So what we need is a kind of wrapper stack, and to do that we're going to use the 1-column foundation stack inside of each column here. And then what I'm going to do is set a border on that stack. So I'm going to set the border width to be 1 pixel all the way around, and I'm going to set that to a light grey. And then inside of there, what we had at the top was an image, so we'll drag and drop the foundation image stack in. And then below that we had a header, so I could just copy this header into here. And I'm going to close the stacks library for now. And then we had a paragraph of text, so we could drag and drop, or we could copy that paragraph into there and just remove the custom sizing. Set the alignment to the left, and the same for the header. We'll set that to be left, and we'll set this to be an H5. Okay, I'm going to call this one product 1, and I'm going to reduce the amount of text inside of here as well, like so. Okay, then we need to set the image. So again, I'm just going to set the mobile image, and I have got some product images here, so I'm going to choose this one. That will be set in there. Okay, and then below the paragraph we needed a divider, so I'll go into the foundation stacks and search for divider, and we can drag and drop that in below the paragraph. And then finally we had a button, so we'll just drag and drop the button stack in. Okay, so what we need to do is adjust this button first of all. So the first thing I want is a rounded button, as always. And what I want this to be a full width button. So I want it to take up the full width of this card, so to speak, or this product table. Okay, and then what I want the button to do is match the color inside of this product header. So to do that we need to change the style. And again, none of these default styles that we can choose here, secondary, success or alert, is matching the color. So what we're going to need to do is the same as we did with the swatch 1 a minute ago, which was set the background color, or set up a swatch color that will match this product color here. So what we'll do is choose swatch 2, and then we'll go back to the global header, set up these, select these site styles and scroll down to the swatches. And here we'll need to choose the color. So the color we want, I think, is this sort of turquoisey blue color, so we'll select that. And then we'll go back and we'll see that the button color has been updated to match that product. Now if your button is a unique button and you don't need to set up a swatch, what you can do is a custom style and you can select the colorings there. We're going to use the swatches during the course though. And then I think that'll do it for this product. Let's go to Safari and preview that. So we scroll down and we see we get the product laid out here. So you can see we need to add a bit of padding to the content inside of here, so we can go and do that in RapidWeaver. We'll select the header first and we'll add some detailed padding, and we will say 15 pixels on the left and right. And we could add a margin to the bottom of the image as well, so we'll say 15 pixels on the bottom of the image. And then we'll do the same for the paragraph, so we'll set up some padding on the left and right, 15 pixels. We'll go back and preview that. And there we can see we're looking a bit nicer. We just need to do that for the button as well. So I will go to the button stack, and this time rather than padding I want it to be margin because I want it on the outside of the button. So I'm going to set 15 pixels on the left and right. And there we can see that's looking a bit nicer. I think if we look at the live site we're looking pretty similar there. So what we can do now is go ahead and add those remaining two products. So all we'll do is copy over the one column stack into each column here. And we'll start by changing the image. So I'll browse for the second image. And I'll instantly do the same for the third here. Like so. So now what we need to do is match these button colors up to the header colors. So first of all, I know we've got a swatch for this goldy yellow color. So the style I can use is 1. And then for this button, what we can actually do is use the success style, because that is going to give us the green color that we chose in the site setup. So as I say, we don't need to use a swatch for this color because we can choose one of the predefined color sets inside of Foundation. So the last thing we need to do is just update the text in here, and we'll say product 2 and product 3. Like so. Okay, let's go back and preview that. And there we can see we're looking pretty good. All we might want to do is update the button text here, so we'll do that quickly. We will say buy now. And I think we are then done with this content layout. All we need to do is, if we remember, if we refresh this site and we scroll down, you'll notice that the content animates in. So how do we go about doing that? Well, luckily for us, inside of the Foundation stack set, there is one called Animate. And all you need to do is drag that into your page above the 3-column Foundation stack there. And what this does is allow you to add any type of content inside of here, and when the user or the visitor scrolls down to that section of content, you can have it animate in many different ways. So as I say, all you need to do is add the stack content inside of the Animate stack. So we can just drag and drop our 3-column Foundation stack into there, and then adjust the settings for the Animate stack. So you'll see here you can choose the animation type. We'll leave it as fade in down for now, and then obviously you can change the duration, delay and offset. We'll leave it as the defaults for now so you can see how it works out of the box. So let's go back to Safari, and I'll just scroll up the page slightly so we can see how this works, and then we'll scroll down and you'll see that the content faded in there. So we can adjust those settings by setting the duration to be longer. Maybe we want that 1.5 seconds, so 1500 milliseconds. Maybe we want a slight delay, 250 milliseconds, and we can set the offset to be 200 pixels, for example. So when we go back again and preview that, and we scroll down, you'll see that that took slightly longer to animate, and there was a delay before the content actually came in. So you can adjust that to your liking. I think the setting that I had on the live site was the duration was 1 second, delay was half a second, and the offset was 100 pixels, and I just had a fade in, or actually I had a zoom in. So let's have a look at that one. So we will zoom the content in. So we'll go and preview that. And there you can see it zoomed in there. So I'll refresh the page again so you can see a little bit better. And we'll slowly scroll down, and there you'll see the content zooms in. That was quite fast. I think I've set that, yeah, I only set 100 milliseconds, so we need to set 1000 for 1 second. So last time, let's scroll down, and there you can see it updated. Okay, what we need to do next is just change the padding on the top here and add a little bit of margin to the bottom. So inside of the one column foundation, we will do our standard responsive padding of 5 rems. And there we can see, a lot nicer. So what's the next piece of content we need to add? And that is these user testimonies. So let's go back to foundation, close up our one column foundation stack, and drag and drop in another wrapper one column foundation stack. And what we're doing here is setting a background color. So to do that, just select the color option here and set a background color of a dark blue. And then what's going to happen is that we're going to have 4 user quotes that are going to fade in and out of each other automatically. So to do that, we can actually use the orbit slider again and just customize the settings so that this doesn't actually look like a standard slider like it does at the top of the page here. What we want is some slides that just fade in and out of each other automatically. So as I say, we can do that with the orbit slider. So we'll search for orbit and we'll drag and drop that in. And the amount of slides we want is 4. The theme we'll have this time is dark. And then we need to add the user testimonies inside of here. So what we have is a 2 column layout for each one. So again, we can just use the 2 column foundation stack. And on the first user quote, we'll have the icon, or the avatar on the left and the quote on the right. And we're going to customize the split here again. So this time the left hand column will be 3 and the right hand column will be 9. Then what we need to do is add the user avatar. So we'll drag and drop an image in. And I'm going to just browse for my avatars here, and we'll select the first one. And I'm going to set a maximum width of 150 pixels on all devices, like so. Okay, and then on the right hand side we need to add a block quote. Now rather than using the foundation block quote, we're going to use the built-in quote stack that comes with Stack. Now the reason for this is because the way I want the content laid out, it's easier to show you using the standard quote stack rather than the one built into Foundation. We can more easily adjust the sizing and styling. So feel free to use the block quote and have a look at that one, but as I say, we're going to use the standard quote stack inside of the stacks library. So drag and drop that in there. Then what I'm going to do is hide the show quotes instantly. And what I've got for the quotes is, if I go to text edit, I've got some pre-copied over quotes here. So I'm just going to copy those into RapidWeaver. Like so. And then to set the text color, what we can actually do is select the parent 2 column foundation and set the color scheme to be the alternate colors, and that will give you the white text on top of the dark background there. Finally, what we want to do is increase the size of this text. So highlight everything, and in the right hand side here we can just set this to be 150%, like so. And I think that'll do it for this quote. So before we go and preview this, what I'm going to do is quickly create the next, or the remaining 3 quotes below. So to do that, I'm just going to copy this foundation stack into here. And then what we want to do is alternate the avatar to be on the left and the right hand side. So to do that, what I'm going to do is select the 2 column foundation wrapper there and adjust the column width. So the one on the left hand side is now going to be 9 and the one on the right is going to be 3. And then what we want to do is swap over the text, or the quote, and the image. Okay, and then I'll just go to text edit and add another quote and get the author, like so. And I'll just update the image whilst we're here. Okay, so rather than making you watch me do the remaining two, I'll quickly copy over these two and update the quote and the user avatar. Okay, so we now have 4 quotes set up here. Let's go to Safari and preview how that looks out of the box. So we'll go to our local site and we'll scroll down, and here you can see, as we had with the product image gallery at the top, we've got those button navigations and we've got the arrows to go through each one, and they fade in and out on top of each other. So what we want to do is add a bit of padding. I want to remove these dot navigation and the arrows, so I want the content to automatically fade in and out on top of each other. We don't want the user to have to interact with these. So let's go to RapidWeaver. We will add some padding to the 1 column foundation stack, and this time we'll add 40, or the equivalent of 40 pixels, so 2.5 rems. Then we'll select the orbit slider stack, and what we want to do is not show the arrow navigations, and we don't want to show the bullets either. Finally, we can adjust the animation type, so we can have the fade, which is the one we want. The animation speed, we can speed that up to be 250 milliseconds, and the slide delay, I'm going to set this to 1 second just so we can easily see that that is working. Then you've got a few more options that you can have a play around with. We'll leave those as the defaults though, and we'll go back and preview how that works. So there you can see that the content is automatically fading in and out on top of each other, and we got the user quote, and everything is laid out nicely. So I don't think there's anything else we need to do on this section. Let's just check our site here, and yeah, we have our quotes. Maybe we had a little bit more padding again on the main site. Let's just have a look. Oh, it's about the same. We'll leave it as that for now. You can adjust the padding and the layout of this as you wish, but as I say, we'll leave that for now. So that's that section done. I will hide that one and we'll move on to the next section, which is this header, text and video with 2 awards below. So once again, what we need to do is add a 1 column foundation stack. So we'll go to our foundation folder, drag and drop in a 1 column stack, and then we need a header and a paragraph. And as always, what I want to do is align this to the center. I'm going to set this to a page subtitle or an H2. I'm going to do a center alignment on the text. I'm going to reduce the amount of text that is here, and then I'm going to use some custom sizing. We're going to set this to 1.5. And actually, once again, I always do this, we need to reduce that down again if we're using some larger text. Okay, then below that what we had was a video. So let's search in Foundation for a video stack, and you'll see the Flex video. Drag and drop that in below. And what we can do is choose from Vimeo, YouTube or other. In our case, we're using a Vimeo video, so we just need to supply a Vimeo ID. And if I go back to text edit, you'll see down here I have an example video, so I'm going to copy that ID in, like so. And then below that, what we had was a 2 column layout with 2 of the awards that our app has won. So what we want is you guessed it, 2 column foundation stack. We'll drag and drop that in. And then inside of there we had images. So we just drag and drop the image stack in. And then what we'll do is go and browse for those, and I've got the awards here, like so. Now what I want to do is set a max height, or a max width, sorry, on this, and that is going to be 284 pixels for each device. And I'll do the same on the other image here. So define a max width, and again 284 on every device, like so. Now finally, the other thing we want to do is set the alignment here. So what I want to do is align the left hand column to the right and the right hand column to the left, and this is so that they butt up against each other in the middle underneath the video. Then what I'm going to do is, I know I need some margin on the bottom of the video, so I'm going to set 40 pixels like so. And then what we need is our standard padding on the 1 column foundation wrapper. So I'm going to set 5 rems at the top and the bottom. So let's go back to Safari and preview that. And we'll need to refresh. And we scroll down and there we have our content. So that's looking pretty good. I think that is that section about done. What we'll do is just copy this header in and paste that into here. So we'll go back to RapidWeaver and paste that header into there. We'll leave this example text as it is for now, and we'll just refresh our preview. And yeah, we're all done. So that is that section. It's as easy as that to lay out a video with 2 awards below. Okay, so finally the last bit of content we need is this footer area where the user can easily buy our application at the bottom of the page. So this is essentially just a banner section. So you should be getting the idea by now. I'm going to hide the previous content. Then I'm going to drag and drop in a 1-column foundation wrapper. We're going to set an image background. I'm going to browse for that. Choose the footer background. Set the tiling to none and the fill to full. And then drag in an inner 1-column foundation stack. Set a background color of 65% black. Like so. And we're going to remove the gutters, and we're going to set the full width there, and the same on the outer background image. So remove the gutters and set full width. Okay, inside of there we needed an image for our icon, so we'll drag and drop that in. Then we wanted a header, and then we wanted some paragraph text. Okay, actually what I think I'm going to do is open up the header here and copy this header. So actually I'm going to just delete these 2 and just paste in that header below, and the same for the paragraph, like so, just to save a bit of time here. Okay, I can just manually set the icon. That goes quick. That's quick to do, so we'll do that. And on this one we'll set a define a max width, and previously I think we had 256, but for the footer we're going to set 128 just to make it a little bit smaller. I will add a bit of margin to the bottom, say 20 pixels, and we can leave these 2 as they are. Finally what we need is a button, so I'll drag and drop that in below the paragraph. And again we will set the rounded corners, we'll set the alignment to center, and we'll just have this as buy now. And again, obviously you could have this as a drop down as we have in the header, or you could just set a link here. Okay, finally I think we just need to add some padding to the inner 1-column foundation stack there, and we can add 5 rems at the top and the bottom. Let's go to Safari, our local site, and preview that. And there we're looking pretty good. So I think that just about does it for this page. We could adjust some of the sizing and padding and colorings, but we'll have a look at that towards the end of the course. All we need to do now is, if you remember on the home page, we have this global footer that we want to apply to our Scriver application page. So let's go back to RapidWeaver, and you'll see that our home page has been automatically selected for us. Now this is one of the benefits of using RapidWeaver's live external preview. As you switch pages inside of Safari or your default web browser, that page will automatically be selected for you back inside of RapidWeaver when you come back to do some edits. So if you were wondering why we were suddenly on the home page, that is why. So I'll hide the sidebar there. What we want to do is, for the footer here, if we just show this, we want to make a partial out of this because we want to share it across all the pages on our site. So to do that, just select the 1-column foundation wrapper and click the partial button. Stacks will create that for us, and we'll call this the global footer. And we'll go back and you'll see that has been turned into a partial, and you get the name at the top there. So now we can switch to our Scriver page, and we can go to our stacks partial area, and we can drag and drop in to the bottom of the page the global footer. Now when we go back to preview and we go to the Scriver page, we can scroll down through all of our content, and we will get that global footer at the bottom there. So we've already done the partials with the global menu at the top, so we've basically done the exact same thing for the footer, and that is just so that we can reuse that content on all the pages of our site. Okay, so that will do it for this lesson. We have completed our Scriver application page. In the next video, what we'll do is create our company page that we can see on the live site here. So once you're ready, I'll see you in the next video.